Well, I seem to enjoy the video on this DX160 on the last video. Tonight I'm going to do something a little bit interesting with this radio that I've done once, many years ago. And it's a request that a lot of people out there would like to know. And that is, how do you install a frequency counter to work on a DX160? Well, tonight, that is what this video is going to be about. We're going to install this frequency counter, and it's going to work with the DX160. So if you're interested in hanging around and watching how I do this, by all means, let's get this done. Okay, so this is the internals, obviously, of the DX160, and the point in the radio that we have to tap off for our frequency counter is on R12. And R12, if you're looking at the radio from the back, R12 is actually down here. R12. So we want to put the frequency counter on the positive side, not on the ground. So we're looking on this side over here is our pick-off area. Right here is your ground going up and down here on this trace, but we're interested in it down there. So that's our pick-off point for the frequency counter is on R12. So what we're going to do here now is take the bottom of the cover off. We're going to mount a connector in the back of the radio. I'm going to put a BNC back here, I'm thinking, or RCA. Haven't decided what I'm going to put here yet, but it's going to be a connector that I can just plug the frequency counter here into. I've also got this plug here, which I could actually use. Maybe that's for DC power. Maybe I won't use that. Leave that alone. I'll put a connector back here somewhere. Alright. Okay. After further investigation of the receiver, I'm going to use this plug for the 12-volt output to my frequency counter, as well as for the cable, the coax, to run out to the frequency counter. So the counter's going to have this on it, and it's literally going to plug in the back of here, so the counter can be taken off the radio at any time and just plug it in there to use it whenever I want. So there we have it. So we're just going to modify the plug here. There's not going to be a DC input, rather it's going to be a DC output, and it's going to be ground. And I'm going to have it regulated to 12 volt. I'm getting the voltage off of Q11 right here. Center pin has 14 volts, 14.3 I believe, 14.4. So there's enough voltage on that there transistor to power that there frequency counter. No problem. So we're going to give it a whirl, and we're going to see how this is going to work out. Hopefully it'll work perfect. Okay, so I've got the modifications done. This here was the DC input. I just got it looped around, so I'll know that this wire went back to this plug just to keep it there. So I've got my coax added here, RG174. It just connects there like that. And I got my positive going back to Q1 there, the transistor, and now all that runs back into this here plug. So now I just got to wire this plug up to the frequency counter and test it out. See how it works. Okay, so before I wire it up, the frequency counter I'm going to be using is a Paradynamics PDC256, and to make the frequency counter work with the DX160 properly, you gotta be able to do some subtraction and addition, some mathematics. Because the radio, depending on if you're on AM or sideband, you gotta remember you're dealing with a 455 kilohertz offset for AM and 451 kilohertz offset for SSB. Pretty sure. Now, when you're playing with SSB, you've also got the sideband offset of 1.5, so you've also got that to play with. So the good thing about the Paradynamic, the PDC-256, is you've got frequency settings here that changes the last 4 digits of the counter, and I'm pretty sure I used this one before and it actually worked pretty well. And these will actually change the last 4 digits, so you can actually do your subtraction or addition of 455 by setting your switches here. Each click changes the digit on the display here. So anyways, I'll show you that now in a second, but right now we've got to get this thing wired up to this here plug. That's the next step of this modification. I'm going to say, like, why drill more holes? You've already got a connector here, not being used for literally anything, so why not put it to use? Guys, have our plug. Oh, I nipped that little bit off there, but other than that, see, it's soldered in. So I'll power up and see what happens. Alright folks, so I just realized after hooking this thing up, the Paradynamics PDC-256 is a 20 to 29999 megahertz frequency counter. So it does roughly 10 megahertz of frequency. So right now I'm on 20 megahertz on position E. Well, that says it is, but anyway, actually, what is this on? It's on 18 megahertz. So she's not reading, she's changing frequency, as you can tell. So if I put the dial on 20 megahertz thereabout, I can set this dip switch, bring that back to 0, and then I can bring each one of these back to 0 as well. But you get the idea. So 20. Let's bring her up. That says a 27.9, and she's right up right at the end of the band. So yeah, how accurate it is another question. When you go right on down, she'll keep counting down. She keeps changing, as you can see. 29, So I've got another frequency counter here that I got. It's a HFC 40. This one has no dip switches, just an inline counter. But I'm going to give this counter a try and see if this one has a little more bandwidth than what this one has. So that one does a small segment of the band, say roughly about 10 megahertz. And this one, I guess we're going to find out. I'm going to give her a try. And she's got a crystal of, what is that, 8.5? Yeah, 8.5. And this one uses 3.276. Anyways, let's rewire this again. So anyways, as you can see, the frequency counter is hooked up. Display shows 7.6500, but you gotta remember the radio has a 455 kilohertz IF. So what you actually have to do is take the frequency that you see on the display, which is 7650, and you subtract 455, and your actual frequency is 7.195. So I have the 440 here. So tune this to 195.
John, the K4 good. Alright, there, I want to talk to Paul there. I'm not there if you don't mind. Alpha 1 Sierra Uniform K4 JTY John. I'm in South Carolina. I'm convening toward Europe, but I got you 15 to 20 dB over SI in South Carolina. Can you help? Okay, John K.
So there you have it.
Alpha 1 Sierra Uniform Detroit, returning your about 30 over SI.
And that is how you add a frequency counter to the DX160. Just remember, you need a frequency counter that can cover the whole HF band. The other one I tried first only got 10 megahertz spread. This counter here works from down to about 2.5 megahertz, 2.5 to 3 megahertz. After anything below that, she just skitches out. So I'm going to say she's a 3 megahertz to at least 30 megahertz frequency counter. So 407.455 would actually be 7.000 megahertz. So So obviously you won't get CW below that.
Okay, Tony. Over, Tony.
Anyway, hope you found this video interesting.
I enjoyed it, Paul. I can't get it. Okay, just a moment. Let's see. Soviet Union, you want to call him? Yeah. United 1 Hotel, Juliet, was it Oscar? This is Paul, Alpha 1 Sierra Form, how copy?
Anyways, all the best, folks. And we'll chat later. 63 out.